Alright, so picture this. You have 72 hours, the dim has dropped, the clock starts ticking. For the next 3 days, your diet consists of pure caffeine and panic. Your code slowly develops into something that would make a bowl of spaghetti look organized, and you are doing it all for a good cause. This, my friends, was the mini Code for a Cause game jam hosted by the wonderful Dean Does Dev. The goal was to make a game in 3 days, based on the theme, with over $500 in prizes on the line. But here's the kicker. It's a charity jam. Half of every single prize gets donated to the charity of winner's choice, so you're not just coding for glory, you're coding for good. I, along with the incredibly talented Zach from the Columbus College of Art and Design, had the honor of playing through the submissions, and the theme they had to work with was you only get one. And the question you ask yourself instantly is one what? One life, one bullet, one chance, one singular lonely Pringle left in the can? The possibilities were endless. And with 148 entries, I saw pretty much all of them. So, well, let's get into it. Let's start with an absolute banger. So, this is Goblin Kabobblin. And when I tell you this game is polished, I mean it's so polished you can see your own reflection in it. The concept is simple. You have one shot to fire a massive skewer through a lineup of goblins. But it's the execution that's just mwah, chef's kiss. The art is fantastic, the gameplay is incredibly satisfying, and the pacing is perfect. It was an absolute blast finding the perfect alignment to skewer the most goblins while also trying to snag all the gold. You know, it's one of those games that's so satisfying you just keep hitting replay level over and over. That is if the developer had the time to add that feature. All jokes aside, seriously, one of my favorites from the entire jam. Next up, we have Pierced. If Goblin Kabobblin was about lining up the perfect shot, Pierced is about what happens after you shoot. You fire your one arrow and then you can teleport to it, use it as a platform, so many ideas for arrow-based movement. These few simple mechanics open up a world of incredible movement puzzles. The pacing here is perfect, it introduces the core idea and it just lets you run with it. The abilities feel so intuitive, the level design is smart, and the whole time I was playing I was just thinking, man, a full-on Metroidvania with this movement system would be incredible. It's really an awesome game that absolutely hooks you from the first click. And rounding out my top 3 personal picks is One by One. This is a game that's just good to play. It's a velocity-based platformer where your goal is to use your portal, with the velocity you can transfer using it, to reach the end goal of the level. Similarly to the game Portal. The trick is that you only get one use of your portal. The controls are ridiculously smooth, the audio is solid, and there is so much polish here. I mean, look at this. When you reset the level, the breakable blocks don't just pop back in, they have this gorgeous little fade-in animation. That's the kind of detail that separates a good game from a great one. My only teeny tiny minuscule nitpick is that the end level goals had a collider which honestly just felt a bit weird, especially since they were all square. But honestly, who cares when the rest of the game is this fun? It completely sucked me in. Now, one of the most exciting parts of being a judge is seeing how different developers interpret the same theme. You only get one could mean so many things and the creativity was just off the chart. For instance, take this game, literally titled One in square brackets. This might be the most galaxy-brained interpretation of the theme. Forget one bullet, one life, this is a game with one control. You press it, you start moving. You collide with a wall, you bounce back. You press it again, in a certain time frame you dash. You press it again, in a certain time frame you start floating. Like, holy shit! That's it. It's brutally difficult. I could only make it through 2/3 of the levels before my brain started to melt. It's honestly such a pure, innovative take on the theme, even though it's kind of an obvious idea. This is the only actual implementation of the Dim where it was just literally one way to control the character. Awesome game. Then you have something like X Rally Girl, which used the Dim to tell a story. You practice in a simulation, you physically draw your route on a map, and the whole game just builds up to this incredible, tense final drive where you only get one attempt. It's not just a mechanic, it's the entire narrative climax. So original, it's so well done. And on the completely opposite end of the spectrum, you have One Seed, a beautiful, meditative game where you plant your one seed and watch it procedurally generating a stunning landscape of flowers. The visual variety is kinda striking, there's so many options of the different rendering methods, and it's just relaxing. And speaking of one, you only have one chance to check out our sponsor for this jam, GameMaker. GameMaker is an awesome, super intuitive 2D game engine. If you're looking to get into game development, it's one of the best places to start. In fact, there was a whole prize track just for the best game made in GameMaker, so a huge thank you for them for sponsoring the jam and helping grow that prize pool for charity. And while we're talking about games, I have to mention my own ongoing project. The one that has taken my one and only will to live, in a good way, On the Wind's Breath. It's a passion project, it's consuming my soul, and if you like the stuff you see here, you should totally go check it out. Okay, obligatory plug over, let's get back into the games. Now, not every game in a jam comes out perfect. That's the nature of making something in 72 hours, but sometimes you find these hidden gems that are just a few small tweaks away from being masterpieces. Take for example, Final Shot. The art style is a 10 out of 10, absolutely stunning. It's a puzzle game where you have to position yourself to guide your one bullet to the target. The puzzles are tough and super rewarding to figure out. My only issue, the bullet physics weren't perfectly consistent. I know there's a warning about that in the start of the game. However, I'd find the perfect solution and it would still take me 8 tries for the shot to actually land. A tiny fix and this game is a home run. And then there was Don't Waste. Man, this game had so much potential, and once I got into it, the puzzles were fantastic. Really clever and difficult, but my one problem was that I couldn't figure out how to beat the first level. I had to literally go digging through the jam comments to find out there was a button I needed to press. A little tutorial or a signpost would have made the difference. But once I got past that, I had a ton of fun. It's a great example of how a small onboarding issue can hide an amazing game underneath. And I have to give a special shout out to Clutch Shift Repeat. The visuals are, well, they're minimalist, a 3 out of 10, but the concept is a 10 out of 10. You're a delivery driver in a manual car and you have to physically manage the clutch and shift gears. It's incredibly difficult, but it's the good kind of difficult where you feel like a genius when you finally deliver that padding without stalling. The idea is so creative and so fun, it completely transcends the simple graphics. And that's just a tiny slice. With 148 entries, there were so many incredible games, from clever puzzlers and frantic action games to thoughtful narrative experiences. Playing through them all was a privilege. It's a huge reminder of how much creativity and passion exists in this community. A massive congratulations to the winners and to every single person who submitted a game. You made something in 3 days. That's incredible. And you did it for a good cause, raising over $250 for various charities. Huge shout out again to Dingnaz Dev for hosting such a fantastic event and to all the sponsors who made it possible. I'll leave the links to all the games I mentioned down in the description, so please go play them, leave a comment, and show these amazing developers some love. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this little tour through Code for a Cause Jam, do all the magic YouTube things down below. Subscribe, like, ring the bell, sacrifice the goat, you know the drill, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!